our first submitter this afternoon is Mike Mora as the chair of the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Community Board, and Helen Broughton as deputy chair. So if I could invite you both to the table, please, and you have 10 minutes to present on the draft development contributions policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew and councillors. It gives me great pleasure to present our board submission on the development contributions today with the assistance of my deputy, Helen Broughton. Everybody's read the submission, so I don't think we really need to go over that. Just want to highlight a few things. In the submission is the Christchurch population is going to grow in the next few years by 86,000 homes, and that's quite a significant growth. So we need to start looking at how we can best handle development contributions through that process. We believe that developers should pay their fair share of costs in providing the infrastructure so that ratepayers are not overly burdened. 3.2, the use of catchments to calculate development contributions. The board notes under the current policy, development contributions are calculated at a catchment level for road transport, neighbourhood parks and stormwater and flood retention systems. But what we're wanting to do is the board supports the use of catchments as proposed and considers it ensures that development contributions charged are aligned to the cost of providing infrastructure to service growth in each area of the city. So we all know what we're talking about, and that's what we support. The maximum charge supports catchments. This is 3.3.1, supports the use of catchments and does not support the use of a cap to keep development contributions charges in smaller communities lower. Development contributions in the community infrastructure, 3.4.2, the board further supports that business developments are assessed for the development contributions for community infrastructure as well as residential developments. I'll touch on that a little bit further on, because the employees in the area access those services that are provided by and maintains the ones that are provided by the development contributions. Reserve development contributions in non-residential developments. That's the same. Businesses development will take place, you know, and put demand on reserves, etc. So I think we're all singing from the same hymn sheet there. 3.5.2 is virtually as above. 3.6.2, the board accepts the role and provides for investment in existing parks as a cost-effective way to meet growing community needs. So that's what we're saying is where you can't get additional land as development, as the population increases through intense developments, that we actually put the development contributions into improving the facilities and the opportunities that green space and parks and other things. And going through this submission just briefly, it's also about library services and that too. When you get intensification in an area and the more people cram into that same area, it puts a lot of pressure on access to libraries as well. So I think just the consideration should be given to increasing the hours and operations of libraries where intensification's actually taken place so that people can access the library services as well. Yeah, that's really about it. Helen, you've got something you wanted to raise, Helen?
Yes, we actually noticed in the chart, and I grabbed this book to try and find it, but when we had the presentation, it looks as though for medium density areas and central city, it's a lower rate. Now, it's probably because it's a smaller household, but what we would like to see is that you differentiate between central city and medium density, because there's a tendency for developers to go to medium density in the suburbs. And the council has long advocated that you want people in the central city to make it vibrant and even possible. And that's been there since 2001. So this could be a lever that gives a slight incentive to developers to actually build in the central city rather than medium density. The trouble with medium density, as you well know, it dislocates current communities. So you have Riccarton and Linwood and Hornby and now Richmond, all affected. So we're proposing, and it might be, and you'd need to do some staff work on this, that you look at a different rate for central city and suburban medium density.
A different rate of development contributions.
Yes, thank you. And that's a lever potentially to encourage people to build in the central city. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So nothing further?
No?
All right, so that leaves us with some time for questions. Jake?
Just one question. Mike, where did you get that extraordinary jumper? And would I be able to grab one?
I got it, actually came through Facebook.
Are there relevant questions to the matter in hand? That might be a nice conversation to take offline later. Anne, you had a question, and I'm assuming it was on a different matter.
Just to clarify, in terms of intensity in community, intensive housing coming into communities, you would like to see those DCs put into strengthening the community facilities within that area.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, if it can be done.
If it can be. Okay, cool. Just to clarify. Thank you.
Any further questions?
And can I just say on that?
Is that a question, Helen?
Yes, no, it's an answer. The Riccarton South has had this issue for a long time, and they do feel that they haven't had their share of facilities. So money's coming in from DCs, but it's not going back to their area. And that's the one that Garth Wilson talked about being very poor and a low income levels. That's probably the best way to say it, yeah. Thank you.
All right, so, Tim.
Thank you. What are your thoughts with regards to, so in a development, instead of just being given a piece of land and making it a park, that the council looks at the development as a whole, so actually we would like this bit of prime land because we think this is better for the community, and we'll to compensate the difference in price, we'll reduce the development contribution slightly, so we're getting a better outcome for that community and the city as a whole for the future.
So your question really is, should if a developer was to gift a part of their development as green recreation reserve, that we should discount the DCs on that? Is that where you're coming from?
There's no gifting anywhere. It's a requirement of a development anywhere. There is never a gift anywhere. But what I'm saying is a trade-off. Yeah, good point with regards to a better outcome for the community.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
No, it'd be wonderful, actually.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, if you could do that.
All right, Aaron, I'll take a question from you next.
Yeah, and it's similar to Tim's, but and a point Yanni raises all the time around social housing. Should developers be allowed to swap out the amount they owe in DCs for land for social housing within their developments?
Well, I think a consideration could well be given to that, so that if they provide land and the opportunity for social housing, that I think should be considered as a bit of a bonus and a trade-off with DCs, certainly.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And finally, Anne.
Yeah, kia ora. So it's good to have this discussion, because thinking about new subdivisions and the fact that they're handed over in a pristine condition to the residents, and people come in, and then council can't maintain the maintenance to the level that it has been presented to them. Do you think that a portion of DCs should go towards maintaining a development, a suburb?
Well, that's another thing that could be considered, but that's when you get a handful of money from a development contributions, that then I think the organisation should have a look at how to best spend that within that catchment. So is that sort of where you're coming from, Anne?
It sort of is, but I know that Longhurst, for example, Knightstream, most of the conversations I have with residents are about the low maintenance, the fact that maintenance hasn't been maintained as they had expected, and council can't do that, just unless we put rates right up. So wondering if there's a opportunity to ring fence some of the DCs to go on ongoing maintenance.
Yes, I think that's a pretty substantial shift from where we're coming from, and I wouldn't like to think that DCs are actually gobbled up and put into a maintenance fund, because I think we're talking about two different things. DCs are for the access for them to have access to the existing infrastructure and existing community services.
Yep.
And I just think that the rates portion from the intensification and more households paying rates, then the organisation should be able to take a portion of that rate, because it's new raters to actually put the funds into upkeep and maintain the parks and reserves that are in their area.
All right, thank you. I'm going to need to bring this to a close at this point because we are beyond the 10 minutes. Thank you very much indeed. Now, we also